Dreadfully, we see the immediate pivot into Shadow Vic. The opponent sends out Walrein. Walrein is about to find out the hard way. It is no answer for Shadow Vic. We shield once, Razor Leaf Farm all the way down, and it's going to be high Walrein, by Walrein. Welcome back to the home of Shadow Pokemon. Buckle up, because today we are entering the Spice Zone, courtesy of one of my Discord moderators, XBoston. Not only is Boston one of the nicest members I've met in the Pokemon community, my god, does he have some collection of Shadow Pokemon. He has maxed out this Shadow Probopass all the way to level 51 to bring us that unique Shadow content. Team partners today are going to be Shadow Vic and 630th ranked pick Shadow Salamance. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one, we pick up a great lead. This rock throwing Mr. Potato Head into the Walrus. Beautiful. The opponent say switches into Cobalion, and suddenly things have gone from brilliant to pretty dreadful. We have absolutely no response to this. Shadow Vic does resist the double kicks, however our Razor Leaf damage, despite being super oppressive, is resisted. Cobalion chooses to commit a shield up on Razor Leaf, now tearing them apart. Boston looks pretty happy with Vic's contribution. He allows it to go down and takes himself early shield advantage. Boston can't return with Probopass because it shares the same typing as my least favourite Pokemon in the world. Bastidon will be taking double super effective damage, so he chooses to send out Salamance. We correctly shield up the Stone Edge. We then look to pivot back into Potato Head. The opponent sends out Charizard. They see we're on Rock Throw, and my god. Probopass now primed to sweep We Fire off the rock slide. The opponent invests that final shield. Boston just needs to let this move go. Blast Burn will hit for neutral. However, Earthquake will do objectively more. However, it doesn't really matter, to be honest, as we are going to outpace to the rock slide. Earthquake will be one-shotting us. However, the opponent isn't going to be able to overfarm whatsoever, as they're left on 1 HP and a Dream. Earthquake will be vanquishing us back to our Pokeball. However, one Dragon Tail is going to be enough to take that game. GG's, and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle. Probopass into Giratina. Giratina, super bulky, but these rock throws are going to chunk. Unfortunately for us, the opponent is on Shadow Claw. However, they did throw a Dragon Claw at a Steel type. Very questionable. Boston just going to absorb the second Dragon Claw. Is the opponent single moved? I don't know, but if they're not single moved, they should probably at least fish for the boost. If their second move is Ancient Power, as both Ancient Power and Dragon Claw would be resisted. However, with the boost, the Shadow Claws would start chunking. The opponent continuing to throw Dragon Claws, Probopass continuing to shrug it off. We return fire with the second Rock Slide. The opponent commits a shield. We then look to snipe with Salamance. Unfortunately, we're unable to. The opponent sends out a Fire Spin Charizard, and holy crap, look at the Dragon Tail damage. Boston shields up the Dragon Claw. We then return fire with the Outrage. Huge overkill. Outrage goes unshielded. Back out comes Giratina. Salamance is so glassy. Boston no shields the Dragon Claw. It nearly one-shots. The opponent's final Pokemon is Venusaur. They get the double resisted. Vine Whip farm down. And we're in trouble here. Our oppressive Razor Leaf damage is going to be double resisted due to Venusaur's grass. Poison typing, but stay in school, kids. Learn to count. Boston catches the Sludge Bomb onto Probopass. Sludge Bomb doesn't knock out. The opponent gets the Vine Whip farm down. Vic isn't going to be able to Razor Leaf farm down before the opponent makes two more Sludge Bombs. We shield the first. We are going to lower Venusaur's defense with the Acid Spray. It's moment of truth time. Vic, super glassy. Can we tank a neutral Sludge Bomb? Come on, Vic, buddy. Don't let me down. Sludge Bomb doesn't knock out. The opponent can't double resisted. Vine Whip farm down, and Boston pulls off an incredible dub. Let's go. The Dream Lead. Rock Throw Probopass into Ho-Oh. The opponent stays in. Look at the Rock Throw damage. They're already at half health. The opponent say switches into Walrein, and my god, is this no response. We fire off the rock slide. The opponent instantly puts up a shield. The opponent farms up to what could be an Earthquake. Boston thinking about calling it last second. We commit a shield, and what a shield it is. The opponent sent the Hail Mary, and Boston correctly shielded it up. This is only an Icicle Sphere. Probopass can easily tank that as it is resisted due to our Steel typing. Boston gets the full Rock Throw farm down. The opponent absolutely core broken. Their final Pokemon is Cresselia. Much like Ho-Oh and Walrein, this is no response for the mighty Mr. Potato Head. Cresselia can hit us for neutral with Grass Knot. However, I don't think Grass Knot going to be enough to knock out this bulky boulder. The opponent fires off a Future Sight and that is resisted. Boston now farms up. We make the Rock Slide on the CMP time. My god, Probopass has ran through this opponent. Rock Slide didn't secure the knockout. However, Boston can just let Potato Head go down. We can easily send out Salamance. We get the Dragon Tail farm down. Back out comes Ho-Oh. Boston, no, we're going to disrespectfully Razor Leaf farm down Ho-Oh to put the stamp of authority, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's and thanks for playing. Dreadful lead. Probopass going to take double super effective from the counter damage. We see the save switch into Shadow Vic, and my god, the opponent sends out Walrein. If the opponent thinks this is a Vic counter, they're about to find out it certainly is not. We shield up the Icicle Sphere, commit to the full, Razor Leaf farm down, and just like that, we've got ourselves alignment. If the opponent sends back out Haxorus, which they do, we do resist the count as we fire off the Acid Spray. The opponent invests that shield. Razor Leafs are resisted. Holy crap, look at the damage. Boston now sends out Salamance. We sneak the Dragon Tail. That Dragon Tail will be secure on the knockout. We shield up the Breaking Swipe. The opponent's final Pokemon is Venusaur. We then look to catch the charge move once again onto Probopass. Are we 2 for 2 on catching Sludge Bombs? Yes, we are. Boston is a member of my Discord and evidently has been to school. If you'd like to join the Discord and watch Boston and myself stream battles live, this sort of nonsense is stuff we run all the time. It's linked down below. Getting back into the commentary, Venusaur putting up a shield. The opponent can try and Vine Whip farm us down. However, they're going to run out of HP. The opponent forced to fire off the Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant does secure the knockout. Out comes Salamance and we Dragon Tail farm down and take that game. In the next battle, we see Sylveon in the lead. The opponent save switches into Swampert, and it's going to be high Swampert by Swampert. The opponent only going to make a Hydro Cannon Vic, shrugs that off, one more Razor Leaf, secures the knockout, and the opponent is absolutely out of here. Moving on to the next one. Who would have thought when you're on such a spicy team, you're going to run into the occasional mon that can beat all three of your Pokemon. This Steelix, which does have access to Earthquake, could hit us for double super effective in the lead. The Dragon Tails would absolutely tear apart our Salamance, and the Psychic Fang that they all run would be hitting Vic for massive super effective damage. Luckily for us, the opponent just continuing to throw Psychic Fang, so Boston not in the worst spot. Everything in the mighty Mr. Potato Head's arsenal is going to be resisted due to Steelix's Steel ground typing. We then see the pivot into Vic. The opponent reaches the Psychic Fang. Vic super glassy and Psychic Fang actually doesn't do too much damage because Steelix is super defense weighted. The second one would knock us out, so Boston choosing to invest the shield. Vic's defense is 2-stage debuff. The Dragon Tails almost knock us out, however we get the farm down. Is that an Aggron? Surely not. It is an Aggron. We fire off the Acid Spray, drawing a Protect Shield, but yet again we found a huge core breaker. I think there's no way Boston wins this game. We send out Potato Head. The opponent now pivots out into Kartana. The opponent out here trying to outspice us. We send out Salamance, which does double resist the Razor Leaf damage. This could be a Night Slash. Boston calls this only a double resisted Leaf Blade. Salamance now gets the full farm down. We fire off the Outrage. Outrage is resisted, but I imagine Aggron commits a shield, which they do. However, I still don't think we win. How the heck do we get rid of this thing? Boston farms up, fires off the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is going to hit for neutral. However, it don't do enough damage, and the Spice Lord of the opponent takes that game. In the next battle, we pick up a great lead. Probopass into Typhlosion. Look at the Rock Flow damage. The opponent farms up to 4. We attempt to catch a Solar Beam onto Shadow Vic. That is honestly the most ridiculous play I've ever seen. The opponent didn't throw. They did throw a Blast Burn. Boston now going to 2-shield his Vic. Against both Blast Burns, the opponent now sends out Gengar. Gengar, super glass. This Leaf Blade is resisted. The opponent choosing not to shield. They near get one shot. Oh, I'm in shambles. How am I going to get through this video? The opponent fires off the Shadow Punch. Vic gets the Simul KO. Typhlosion now nothing more than a sacrificial swap. Boston waits out his timer. Sends out Probopass. And again we see a Venusaur. Wow, the trenches. There's Venusaur left, right and centre. We fire off the rock side. Do we see another catch of a Frenzy Plant this time? Wow, Boston pulling out all the stops. We do catch the double resisted Frenzy Plant. Dragon Tail tearing apart the opponent. They are going to reach a Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb will be lethal. No, the opponent throws the Frenzy Plant. What the heck is going on in this battle? The opponent realises that wasn't the play and they concede probably the craziest game I've ever seen in my life. Moving on to the next one. I need to compose myself, but things aren't looking promising as we see a shiny Rapidash. This thing has access to Drill Run. Boston chooses the shield and the opponent does send the Drill Run. Probopass gets the full Rock Throw farm down. This roller coaster of emotion is going to get put on hold temporarily as the opponent enters the arena with a lot more meta pick in the form of Umbreon. Boston attempts to catch a move onto his Salamance and look at the Dragon Tail damage. Umbreon usually tickles, but a sneaky feeling that Salamance is going to make this thing look like a really attack-weighted Pokemon. That Dark Pulse did ridiculous damage, and as if I wasn't already confused, the opponent then throws a foul play. They're on a full Dark moveset. Interesting. We now send out Vic. Vic looks for the Razor Leaf farm down. Umbreon finally remembers that it is quite bulky. They survive the Razor Leafs, fire off the Dark Pulse. The opponent now switch out into a Dragon Breath, Giratina. We fire off the Acid Spray. Acid Spray goes unshielded, however does lower Giratina's defense. Now Probopass has a play at taking this game. We fire off the Rock Slide, which does force a shield. The Dragon Breaths are resisting again. Rock Throw tearing them apart. Is this opponent running Shadow Sneak? No, they fire off a Dragon Claw. Probopass shrugs it off. We make one more Rock Slide. This will be forcing the final shield off Giratina. Can they Dragon Breath farm us down? The opponent gets scared, throws a charge move. It's now all going to be down to Vic. Vic needs to Razor Leaf down the remainder of the team. The opponent switch out. Umbreon gets taken out with a Razor Leaf. No, we get some kind of notification, but Boston still takes that game, despite me almost having an anxiety attack. In the next battle, dreadfully, we see the pivot into Salamance, and the opponent answers with Scizor. Whoa, look at this bullet punch damage. The opponent goes straight for a Night Slash. Salamance does actually tank that, and we do make the outrage. Please, Mr. Opponent, let it go. The opponent does let it go. We actually win the 0 shields to my surprise, and we've now took back switch. Boston can now align the very toxic, oppressive Shadow Vic onto the counter user, and they are getting torn apart by Razor Leaf. The opponent is going to make one more Night Slash. Boston going to shield this up, do 5 Razor Leafs, secure the knockout. I don't think we're going to get the Razor Leaf farm down. They do survive on 1 HP and a Dream. Boston going to 2 shield Vic. Boston with now no Protect Shields to hide behind, but we don't need any, as the opponent's final Pokemon is Swampert, and they concede the match. Boston goes an incredible 4-1. Moving on to the next one. Probopass into Giratina, again the opponent on Shadow Claw, so a better matchup for the opponent. We'd much rather they're on Dragon Breath. The opponent again fires off the Dragon Claw. That definitely isn't the play. Boston returns fire with the Rock Slide. Rock Slide lands for heavy neutral damage. Does the opponent this time learn from their mistake and throw the Shadow Sneak? No. Apparently this opponent also single moved. Or perhaps on an Ancient Power, but as I said previously, if you had Ancient Power, I'd just fish for the boost. The opponent continues to throw Dragon Claws. Boston, now super low, returns fire with the Rock Slide. The opponent looks like they want to win lead. Boston probably just going to sack Potato Head at this stage, which he does. We then send out Salamance, looking to get a running start. We get off 2 Dragon Tails. What is the opponent's answer to a Salamance? They send out Charizard. We've got a 2-1 shield advantage, so Boston just needs to get rid of this Charizard, and hopefully Vic can sweep whatever's in the back. The opponent fires off the first Dragon Claw. Boston looking to 2 shield and farm all the way down. It smells like a walrein or a Swampert. Let's see. The opponent's final Pokemon is Swampert. The opponent going to be forced to shield up the outrage. We pivot out into Vic, and the opponent again instantly top lefts. GG's and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle. Trevenant, pretty neutral. The Rock Throw's gonna chunk. Shadow Ball probably gonna do a lot, and the Seed Bomb will hit for neutral. The opponent farms up to a potential Shadow Ball. They full send the Shadow Ball. Probopass does shrug it off. Boston over farms, returns fire with the Rock Slide. Rock Slide goes unshielded. We get the Rock Throw farm down. The opponent sends out Swampert. I imagine we pivot into Salamance. Boston chooses to bank a Rock Slide, then pivot out. The opponent's got Walrein in the back. These double super effective Powder Snows out here looking like charm. The opponent goes straight for the Icicle Sphere. Icicle Sphere secures the knockout. Boston comes back into Potato Head, throws the Rock Slide. Rock Slide draws the first Protect Shield. The opponent gets the Powder Snow farm down. Vic now comes in. It's going to be a Razor Leaf farm down to the finish. We are going to have to shield up the Icicle Sphere. Walrein looking to make the second, but Vic says no. The opponent sends out Swampert. Swampert, is it going to be able to make back-to-back moves? Boston no shields the Hydro Cannon, and we still Razor Leaf farm down. Who was worried? GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Probopass into Ampharos. Another pretty neutral lead. Again, Rock Throw tearing through the opponent. They bank a charge move, send out a Waterfall for Alligator, and for Alligator is going to be straight in and straight out. Never in my life have seen Ultra League battles go so fast. The opponent comes in with Crobat, and again, Potato Head looking primed to sweep. We fire off the Acid Spray, which is going to lower Crobat's defense. The opponent going to air slash farm us all the way down. Boston should come in instantly with Probopass. However, he's choosing to come into Salamance, just going to sack it. The opponent full sends the Shadow Ball, and to my surprise, we do actually tank that. We then Simul KO back out. Comes Potato Head. Boston, use your shield. No, Boston, use your shield. The opponent fires off the Brutal Swing. Boston looking to Rock Throw farm down, and we Simul KO, and no one uses a shield. What is going on? In the next battle, we see a Digimon in the lead. This thing is definitely in the wrong game. However, Probopass going to be pretty good against it, as the Dragon Tails are resisted, and the opponent goes for Dragon Claw instead of Night Slash. Boston farms up, fires off the Rock Slide. Rock Slide going to be almost lethal unless the opponent shields. Potato Head wins another lead. The opponent now sends out a Water Gun Lapras. Lapras usually runs Ice Shard. I think Ice Shard is definitely a move you're looking for. However, Water Gun definitely advantageous in this matchup. We see the pivot into Vic, and the opponent's got a Kanto Ninetales in the back. A really cool pick from the opponent. I'm really trying hard to excel my Shadow K9. We did have the Spotlight Hour on Tuesday, but of course I was working. I didn't manage to play. K9 going to take out Vic with the Weather Ball. However, Probopass is still alive. The opponent going to fire off a charge move. Is Boston finally going to use a shield? No, he's not. Weather Ball doesn't knock out. However, one more fire spin secures the knockout. Boston now sends out Salamance. These water guns are resisted. I think the only lose con is no shield and an Ice Beam. Boston does commit a shield. The opponent does send the Ice Beam. Holy crap. We could have lost another game if we didn't use our shields. Boston this time choosing to take the dub. We do get baited with a Surf. However, we're going to be able to Dragon Tail farm all the way down and take that game. Wow, what an absolute crazy battle submission from Boston. Boston has one of the most insane shadow collections I've ever seen. His shadow collection is probably better than even mine, and I've used pretty much exclusively shadows all the way since season 7. So if you'd like to see some of this absolute insanity live and have a chat with myself and Boston, come join the Discord. It is linked down below. We do stream more or less daily. It's great fun. We always use really spicy mon, and we don't really care about Elo all that much. Speaking of which, I do always try and push for Legend, but that'll probably be in the last couple of weeks. However, if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on the channel, like I featured Boston's, a link to my battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.